Hi, my name is Jeff Pfeiffer. I'm an attorney at the Lopez Law Group. I specialize in personal injury actions. This is our podcast where we try to answer a lot of questions that clients ask when they come into an initial consultation. Our goal of this series is to provide you some answers to kind of ease your anxiety before you come in for an initial consult, and also just for general information purposes. So I like to cover a lot of the general questions that I get. One of those being, how do I prove negligence in a personal injury case? How do I prove my case? What do I have to be able to show? What kind of evidence will help me? And it's very important to kind of start from the beginning, because one of the first pieces of paperwork that you're going to get when it comes to an auto accident specifically is a police report. Police report is very helpful in documenting what happened. There will be a diagram on that police report that shows the accident. There will be a summary by that police officer detailing what happened, and ultimately, if you are the victim of an auto accident, that police report will also detail who received the citation for the accident, the at-fault party. Did they get a citation for failure to yield? Did they make an improper turn? Did they get a citation for reckless driving? So that is often the first place that we look when a client comes into the office after an automobile accident to kind of figure out who the at-fault party is and whether there was negligence involved. The first thing we do is we look at that accident report. Sometimes that accident report isn't very clear. It isn't clear who received a citation, if anybody. It doesn't necessarily say that one party is at fault, and in that situation, then you really have to rely on testimony of the parties. Any sort of witnesses. Were there any witnesses that were by that saw the accident that can back up your version of events? If you have an accident report where the other person is not been cited, but you have two or three people, or even just one person that saw what happened, and they're willing to testify that you are the one who was the victim of that accident, that you did not, that you did nothing that was your fault to cause that accident, then that will help you. That will also help us prove that it was the other party that actually was responsible for that. Beyond that, the testimony of the parties is very important. Obviously, witnesses are one thing, but when you have your testimony versus the other party's testimony, of course, an insurance company is always going to say that you're giving testimony and you're doing it for your best interest, and that, of course, the defendant driver is giving testimony for their interests. So that isn't the strongest way to prove it, but that is one way that you can help prove your case, is by giving some sort of sworn testimony or a recorded statement detailing what you believe happened in that accident, what you can recall, what you can remember. And those are kind of the ways that you prove negligence in pre-litigation before the filing of a lawsuit. If the case has to continue and go further, you can hire experts if it's still unclear after you take witness testimony, after you talk to the parties. If the accident report isn't clear, the law firm can hire experts on your behalf to go to the scene of the accident. They're called accident reconstructionists. They can go out, they can look at the scene, they can analyze skid marks on the ground, they can look at damage done to vehicles, they can go ask the businesses in the community if they have any video footage of that intersection, and then ultimately they try to piece together the puzzles. They might take a vehicle and download some black box data off of that. Believe it or not, every vehicle that you drive, especially nowadays, more modern vehicles, they have what's called a black box inside of them, and that just downloads the data from the vehicle. It can record braking, speed. You'd be surprised, a bunch of different things that accident reconstructionist can get out of your vehicle to help him piece together the puzzles about what happened. So he takes the skid marks on the ground, the testimony of the parties, the damage that is on the vehicle. He takes that black box data, he puts it together and compiles it into a report. And oftentimes he's able to while he can't ultimately prove it, he gives you a ton of beneficial circumstantial evidence to show that the other party was at fault for your injuries. So that is one way. If you can't prove it with the accident report, and you can't prove it with witnesses or with testimony, getting an expert involved and having them reconstruct that accident and ultimately tell you what happened, so that they can show, based on the data that's available, who is at fault. That is one of the other ways to ultimately prove who's at fault for an accident. So if you find yourself in that situation, whether you've been in an auto accident, or maybe it wasn't an auto accident, maybe it was a slip and fall, maybe it was a dog bite, and you're looking for representation for that incident, for the damages that you've suffered, for the injuries that you're going through at the moment, give the Lopez Law Group a call. We're more than happy to help. We can sit down with you. We can run through the case, evaluate what has happened, let you know what we would be able to do for you, and hopefully get you on the path to feeling better and a path to recovery. You can give us a call. Our phone number is 727-933-0015. Thanks.